With the real flow, signing out ES News, Ande Emilio, NY.
What do you think of Lamont Peterson's chances against Errol Spence?
Oh man, Lamont, he's a challenge for a lot of guys. What matters is how bad Lamont wants it, the kind of training camp he has, the game plan that they use, and he's fallen short a few times in fights, and he's come out on top a few times. So, Errol said himself he's looking forward to getting the experience because he knows he's going to be in the ring with a well-experienced fighter. He might be opposed with a few challenges, but at the end of the day, he's looking towards that victory, and he is the favor going into the fight. But it's going to be you're looking at some two good fighters.
So what are your thoughts when the growing rumors, nearly almost confirmed growing rumors that your former opponent, Danny Garcia, is going to be taking on Brandon Rios?
I mean, whatever, man. It's a comeback fight for him after a loss. I always feel like you should never be too hard about who fights who after one has lost. Okay, it was quite impressive for Kell Brook to fight Triple G and then to fight Errol Spence, but a lot of people don't do that. Okay, so he'll be back in the ring. He's trying to have a good performance. I hope the performance goes as well as him and his team want. And then you can start demanding that he get back in the mix. And technically, because I know where people are, what people and reporters are probably thinking, but he can go up against some higher quality opponents after he handles his business with Brandon Rios.
So do you agree, or someone condone that he did the right thing turning on Sean Porter?
Yeah. I fought Danny Garcia. I fought Sean Porter, then I fought Danny Garcia. Doesn't mean that Danny needs to do the same. So it's just, and it's his team. They're not comfortable with that right away. They didn't want to fight me right away. They took a warm-up fight. So I feel like they like to do that. Every fighter, they operate and manage their careers slightly different. And it's not the worst move. It's still, I think, a good matchup for the fans. The fight style-wise, I definitely do see Danny as the favorite. But after that, we can start. You can start putting some pressure on him and say we want to see you up against somebody else or this guy, that guy. You can start saying whatever names, but we'll see who he wants to fight in the welterweight division. And I still believe I was happy that I got to fight Danny so early because I believe that the welterweight division is a dangerous division for Danny Garcia.
Okay, this is my final question. Let's talk about your injury. Now, the injury you had with your elbow, does that stem back from when you had that car accident?
No.
Was it something that was reactivated?
No. It was a brand new thing. I never felt that pain in my elbow ever throughout any of my boxing matches or through any other training camp, but I did start to feel it in the training camp for Danny Garcia. I got an MRI, and the results showed that I had loose bodies floating around down in the joint region, which is hindering my elbow from walking out and doing its job, which is promoting a whole lot of inflammation. So I was fighting inflammation, which people know is a fancy word for somewhat pain, so I was fighting mild pain and inflammation in the elbow. I was icing it every day after practice, and I took some notes from my doctors. I stopped sparring a little short in that camp, and just waited it out. Did a lot of shadow boxing, did a lot of strength and conditioning, and I said, look, the doctor said I'll be okay for the fight, so I'm gonna get strong, get ready, but I'm gonna cut my sparring short, and I'm just gonna use this right elbow on the night that matters the most, which is the night of the fight. Afterwards, I rested. I spent 1 month in Japan, upon which I proposed to my wife. I came back. Came to the Sean Porter fight in April. I think my surgery was done like 2 days before that fight. And here in New York, So like I said, I'm back here in New York. I touched down. I seen my doctors. I'm getting therapy. We're feeling good. It feels like it's about to bounce back. We do need a minimum of 4 to 6, no longer than 8 weeks of rehab. I think 4 to 6 is a good number because we really are bouncing back. It's feeling better than it ever did prior to last month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. The elbow really is progressing, so that's what we want to see. With rehab, that's what you want to see as an athlete. So I look forward to being back in the ring next year.
My last question, one of your former competitors, and since this is the night of the 154-pounders, where does Demetrius Andrade fit into this whole thing going on here? I know you're a big fan of his. You've shown him a lot of love in your interviews and everything. Where's his position in this big semi-tournament they got going here?
I'm not sure. I know that he probably is the mandatory for at least one of the belts. I know at one point I saw he was the mandatory for 2 different world titles. So Andrade has been at the top of the rankings for a long time. He's a former world champion. He's had some issues with his career, but we'll see what happens to him and if he can get in this mix. He definitely deserves to be in the mix. He's definitely one of the young and talented fighters in that division today, but we'll see what happens. I'm not that close to his team when it comes talking wise to know what their plans are and what's going to happen. But I know he wants it. He's hungry, and I hope he gets his shot soon.
Keith, you already mentioned that you want to be back in 2018, and one of the guys that is on the line is Jesse Vargas.